Hi again, folks. Well, it's been a long time in coming, but guess what? This is the last installment of the reviews for the Great White Wonder Adventure Pack from Parallel 49 and Red Racer. As they say, better late than never. At least I hope that's the case, because it's definitely late. It's the 7th of January today, and we're doing beers from day 22, 23, and Christmas Eve 24. So let's get started so we can get this thing finished. Day 22 was from Parallel 49. It was called Wild Ride Belgian Strong Ale, coming in at a pretty good 9% alcohol. It was a light golden color when you poured, with a couple of fingers of head. Looked like it had pretty good carbonation because there was lots of effervescence in there. It had kind of a wheaty, yeasty note to it, which is not surprising given the fact it's a Belgian. Despite the 9% alcohol content, it really wasn't really boozy. Very smooth, very easy drinking basically. Kind of a unique beer that doesn't necessarily fit every palate, because it was sort of a combination between an IPA and a Belgian style, so kind of a unique twist on it. Good flavor. Again, those yeast and wheaty notes came out in the tasting of it, but overall it was a really good beer, and at 9% it was a good strong one, so I think that was a keeper for sure. Moving on to day number 23, it was from Red Racer, and this one was a barrel-aged IPA coming in at 6%. It poured a clear, bright copper amber color, and had a bourbon aroma to it, which and also some vanilla and hoppy notes in that aroma as well. The bourbon, of course, makes sense because it was barrel-aged. The taste is the same in terms of the hops, which you'd expect from an IPA, and some sweetness, again, from the bourbon and the vanilla notes. Kind of a laid-back carbonation and middleweight in terms of the body. And it finished kind of dry, but with some fruitiness to it as well. It was a strange combination because barrel aged does give it that sweetness, but the IPA you expect some hoppiness as well. So they kind of counteracted each other, but it was good. I enjoyed it, and again, it was a different kind of beer that you don't normally get, a barrel aged IPA, so it was good. And Christmas Eve, last but not least, day 24 was from Parallel 49. This one was in last year's Advent pack as well, and it was called Rock the Bells Cranberry Sour Ale at 7%. Cranberry ale, I mean, holy moly, it doesn't get much more Christmassy than that, does it, in terms of cranberries? So it makes sense that that one was in the last one this year. It poured a clear pink reddish color and a fairly small head. Obviously some cranberry aroma and some citrus notes as well when you could smell it. The taste was kind of a tartness, of course, it's a sour, so the tart cranberry notes along with lemon. And quite a bit of hoppiness to it as well, which is kind of neat. Good carbonation, so it was lots of effervescence and kind of tangy on the tongue from that effervescence and carbonation. And probably weighing in at a light to medium body. All in all, it finished kind of dry and tart, again with some of that cranberry. And a pretty good refreshing beer, something that you could kind of drink after or with Christmas dinner basically. The 7% alcohol was hidden pretty well. Again, there wasn't a lot of alcohol burn or anything to it. So those are the beers from this year's pack, and I thought I would finish off by giving you a little bit of a summary of my impressions of this particular pack. It's the second time I've done it. I did it last year as well with the same two breweries, Parallel 49 and Red Racer, Central City. Now on the pack it talks about 12 beers from each of those particular breweries, and it says, 12 original beers from each of those breweries. And I think I've mentioned that a couple of the beers were in last year's pack, and in seeing some other reviews posted on YouTube and also written up online. Some of the beers have been around before, not just once or twice, but quite often basically. So using the term original, I thought I would look it up just to see what that means. And one of the definitions was new, fresh, inventive, novel, which I guess is kind of what the direction that these folks are going, because it's new and fresh, inventive. However, it also has a definition saying created for the first time. So I guess they're going with the initial definition of what original means, because there were some of these that are not original in that they were created for the first time. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. If they're pretty good beers, then who cares basically. But you would expect that you're going to be getting things that haven't been around before, that people maybe haven't tasted before. So from that note, again, it's kind of cheeky that they say they're all original, but they aren't necessarily that. In terms of what was contained in these things, again, 12 from each. And one of the things I noticed on the side of the pack was that the Red Racer beers were in 330 milliliter bottles, and the Central Cities were 341. So you get a little bigger bang for your buck from the Central City Red Racer stuff. Actually, Parallel 49 was 330 and Central City were 341. In terms of what it contained, that 12 or 24 pack contained 3 Belgian ales, 5 IPAs, 2 pale ales, 1 porter, 3 wheat ales, 2 lagers, 1 common, which was a Kentucky interesting kind of take on a beer, 1 saison, 1 sour, 1 barley wine, 1 session ale, and 3 stouts. I would say the ones that I liked the best were probably 2 of the IPAs, Robo Ruby, and that was one that has been brewed before, but it wasn't in last year's pack. And the Tukes of Hazard, that was probably one of my favorites. That's the one that was 9.3% or something like that, an IPA. The Belgian ales, again, I've mentioned before that I'm not really a super fan of Belgium, but the 2 that were in there that I really liked were Abraxas and Wild Ride. They were unique, they came through with the Belgian style, and they were really good to drink. As I said, the common is kind of an interesting one. Rock the Bells was in last year's pack, but it was kind of appropriate to have a cranberry ale on Christmas Eve, and again, it was refreshing and certainly was a sour, so I like that a lot. Probably the best one is the barley wine. That was in last year's as well. It's been around before. They say it's something that you could put down for up to 5 years. But as a drinking beer right now, boy, it's pretty good at over 11% alcohol. So that was the one that I liked. I guess the big disappointment was the one from Temperance Pre-Prohibition Ale. Again, it came in at 5%, but really it didn't have any body, it kind of lacked any kind of flavor, and yes, maybe it's in keeping with the pre-temperance prohibition beers, but I really didn't see the point of it, especially in a pack like this. Anyway, it's over, we're into January, we've finished off this particular round of reviewing the Advent calendars. I'm assuming there'll be one next year, so stay tuned and we'll see if we can do another one next year. Maybe a different pack, because there was a couple on the market that weren't necessarily from Red Racer and Parallel 49. Anyway, I had a lot of fun doing it. Hope you've enjoyed watching them, and Happy New Year again, and we'll see you pretty soon, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye.